Hi there, Chase from HighLevel here to give you a quick overview of the Workflow Builder. By default, you'll be on the Actions tab where you can actually build your flows, but let's first take a look at some of the other tabs before we get started with building. Starting with Settings. In the Settings tab, you've got a few options here, so it's important that we understand what they are. The first is a sending window. Setting a sending window means that the outgoing messages within your workflow can only go out during this window. This is a great way to prevent people from getting, say, a text message in the middle of the night. You can build your window by day of the week and by time frame as well. Next up, allow multiple. If you turn this on, it means that any single contact can go through this workflow more than once. If it's off, they can only go into the workflow once, and the second time that a trigger tries to add them, nothing will happen. Next up, stop on response. If you turn this on and a contact in this workflow replies to any of the messages that have gone out or books an appointment, the rest of the workflow will shut down. This can be great for nurture campaigns because you eliminate the possibility of annoying somebody by continually telling them to do something like book an appointment when they already have. Next up, auto mark as read. Normally, outbound messages from a workflow will show up in the Recents tab of conversations. If you don't want that to happen, you want them to go straight to the All tab, you can just toggle on auto mark as read, and that's what will happen. Lastly, an event start date. Event start dates are great if you're running, say, a webinar on a future date and you want to do appointment reminders leading up to that date and time. So let's say we had a webinar coming up on the 10th at 10 o'clock. We could set that date and time here, and then in our workflow, we can use wait steps that wait until X amount of time before this date and time. Next, let's take a look at the Status tab. The Status tab shows you an overview of everybody who's been in this workflow and where they're at. So we can see some of these people have finished the workflow, some of them are still at wait steps, and you can see which step they're at here and when the next action will happen for them. If you click the execution log, this will take you to an overview of that contact since they've been added to the workflow. This will show you bottom to top everything that's happened since they came in. So we can see this person was added to the workflow, then we tried to send them an email but there was an error, and then they hit a wait step and that's where they are right now. But wait a minute, what about this error? If we want more information, we can come over here and click the clipboard, and that'll give us more details as to what happened. So we can see here the status was an error and this message was not sent due to the to field being an invalid email address. Please check the contact's email address or the trigger campaign that attempted to send this email. So now we know there's an issue with that person's email. If we go check it out, maybe they put .con instead of .com, or maybe it's just a fake email that somebody gave us and that's why it hasn't sent because we have email validation turned on. But anyway, you can see here that you're getting more details about each action, which actually leads us over to the History tab. If we click the History tab, we can see a complete history of every event that's fired in this workflow. If I scroll down, we can see that this is cross contacts, so it's just a sequential order of all the events that have happened. And again, if we want to get more details about any specific event, we can click the clipboard, which will give us more details. For example, this person's last action was that they were removed from the workflow. So if we wanted to know more about why they were removed, we could click on the clipboard and it'll tell us that it was stopped due to the execution reaching the end of the workflow. Okay, great, so they made it all the way through. But if you saw somebody who got removed and they didn't go all the way through and you're wondering why, you could check this and it might say something like they were removed due to a reply, which would indicate to you that, oh, I have stop on reply turned on in my settings, and you could go adjust if that's not what you intended. Again, you can also click on the execution log icon, and if you do that, it'll take you to all of the events that have fired for that specific contact since they've been added to the workflow. Now remember, one person, if you have allow multiple, could be added to a workflow more than once. So when you click on this execution log, you're only seeing the events relative to that session, if you will, in the workflow. If you wanted to see all the events across their sessions, you could go back to the log and actually click the icon over here next to their name. That will show you all events that have fired for this person for all of the times they've been added to the workflow. So it's a more complete view of the logs for this specific contact. So hopefully this is giving you an idea of the power of the History tab. We're actually surfacing the logs so that you can troubleshoot your own workflows without having to open support tickets. All right, let's hop over to Actions. Here's where we actually build our workflows, and they all start off by adding a workflow trigger. We can see that this workflow kicks off when a customer books an appointment on Kelsey's calendar. But note that you could also add more than one workflow trigger. So we could say, all right, I want everybody to be added to this workflow if they book on Kelsey's calendar, or maybe somebody else's as well. So I could come down here and I could choose, let's say customer booked an appointment, and I could set a filter for in a specific calendar, and maybe I want to do Sean's as well. So if I save this, anyone who books on Kelsey's calendar or Sean's calendar will be added to this workflow. Once you have at least one workflow trigger, you can start to add your events. So we can see the first event here is that we're sending a confirmation email to the person who booked the appointment. And here are the details of what's in the email. If we click statistics, we can get information about delivery rates, open rates, clicks, and all of that. And then next we could see we have a wait step. So somebody's going to wait here until 1 hour before their appointment time. And if we can continue down in this workflow, we'll see they'll get another reminder. They'll wait until 5 minutes before the appointment, and then they'll get an email and an SMS reminder. So it's just about building a chain of events that you want to happen. So you can just come over here, search the event that you're looking to execute, and then it will be added in. And again, we'll have more videos on some of the specific ones like if and else, which is a really powerful way to add a conditional split into your workflow. So that's a quick overview of Workflow Builder. Again, we'll have lots more videos to come, so definitely check out below in this help doc.